Hello, I'm Greg. Let me move my green screen over here for a second. Totally forgot about that. Yes, so welcome to my channel, Midnite Oil Software, and another lunchtime game stream. In this stream, we're going to pick up where I left off yesterday, except I did do a little bit yesterday afternoon where I fixed the issue that I was struggling with yesterday. As you recall, if you watched yesterday, I had gotten the respawning of the player ship working, but it was being destroyed. Actually, the game object was being destroyed shortly after respawning the player ship, and I was trying to diagnose that without much luck in the stream yesterday. But what I did yesterday evening is I added this destruction watcher script to the player ship prefab. And basically all it does is an on disable and an on destroy. It does some logging, and I'm logging out the full stack trace because I wanted to see where destroy was getting called from. And then I optionally, if I said break on disable or break on destroy, I would debug break, which would actually pause the game in the editor. And if I was debugging, it would actually, it'd be like I set a breakpoint on that line right there. And what I discovered is that the enemy ship controller was actually destroying the player's ship, and it wasn't when I would have expected it to destroy it. So what happens is this: basically this is a state machine, right? And the enemy ship can go from a patrol state to an attack state, or maybe just a reposition state, or even a retreat state. If it's been damaged heavily, it might try and run away. So what was happening is when it goes from patrol to attack, I was destroying whatever the target game object was. Because when it's in a patrol state, it creates a patrol target. And the same thing when it's in a reposition state, it gives it a reposition target. And it will move toward that target. But when I switch to attack, I want to destroy that temporary target. And then, basically have it then go after the player ship. That would become the new target. Well, what was happening when the player ship got destroyed and respawned, it went from attack to attack. It was already in the attack state, which meant that its temporary target, its current target, was the player ship already, and I was destroying it. So all I did is I added this function here, is temporary target, and that basically says, am I a patrol target or a reposition target or a retreat target? If I'm any of those, then I'm a temporary target. And there's better ways I could do that than doing a string comparison. But I just wanted to test that real quick and see if that was the issue. And it definitely was the issue. And I'll probably go back and refactor that later to have a more elegant solution. But besides that, the other thing that I did off camera, I had complained several times that my asteroids were spamming my hierarchy, and I wanted to put them in a container. So the asteroid field class, I added this asteroid container serialized field, which is just a transform. And essentially I just dragged in its own transform into that field. And then if I don't specify that, then on wake, I just grab the parent of the whatever my transform parent is. So what that does is then when I spawn my asteroid, I set the parent to be whatever that asteroid container is. So if we go and run the game now, you'll see all of my asteroids will spawn under under whatever asteroid field spawned it. So you'll see this suddenly get populated with a bunch of asteroids. So now my hierarchy isn't being spanned by all those things. So now let's see what happens when I get destroyed. And I should respawn and come right back, and within 3 seconds I should respawn and come right back into the cockpit of the ship. And there I am. I'm back in the game. with fresh shields and fresh hull and everything. So I think what I would like to do to improve this a little bit more is I would like to create a kill camera. So right now under my cameras, I've got the main camera, I have a follow camera, and I have an enemy ship follow camera. I think what I'd like to do is create a new one called kill camera. And essentially what I wanted to do is look at the player's ship from a little ways off. It'll kind of be like the follow camera, but it's not going to move with the ship. I guess I could just switch to the follow camera actually. But I'm just trying to think of a way to cinematically change the view to show the player's ship being destroyed. And then switch back to the player ship's camera when he's respawned. The other thing I think I want to do ultimately is right now in the player ship prefab, there's this cockpit camera container here. And the cockpit virtual camera is actually a child of the player ship prefab. And I'm not really sure that it should be. I'm thinking I might want to move this camera out under my camera setup here, and then just set it to look at the player ship when the player ship spawns. So those are some things I'm thinking about doing. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into how I'm going to do that yet. So yeah, I'm not really sure about what that would mean for all these settings. I do want to see how I'm currently handling all of those transitions. I haven't looked at this code in a really long time. So this is how I can manually transition between cameras. I've got a private method here to set the active camera. But I know that I'm changing cameras when the player ship is destroyed, or at least I must be, because my view definitely changes when the player ship is destroyed. This is a good criteria of what I could use Bezier for. I could tell it, analyze the project, if I can spell analyze the project and determine how the virtual cameras are managed, specifically if and how the camera changes when the player ship is destroyed and respawned. Show relevant code and include mermaid diagrams. And I'm going to put this in ask mode, not agent mode, because I don't want it to modify any code. And let's see what Bezier comes up with. Thinking. So it's analyzing the camera management system, focusing on how it handles player ship destruction and respawning, finding the cockpit camera, viewing the camera setup, examine the main scene hierarchy, it's interesting to see how it thinks through its process. So I'm in North Carolina near Raleigh, and there is a major winter storm bearing down on us. And right now it looks like it's going to be mainly an ice event, which is unfortunate. I wouldn't mind several inches of snow. Your project uses 3 virtual cameras managed through the camera manager. It does not handle player spawn and destruction events directly. Camera switching is via the keyboard. So here's the player manager. So this is where it's saying it finds, ooh, that's ugly. It finds the game object with tag, cockpit camera. And if it's the cockpit camera, if it's not null, then it sets its parent to be the player transform. So that makes sense. So the camera behavior during player life cycle. So this is a mermaid diagram. Mermaid.live. I'm just going to paste that directly in there. So when the player spawned, the player manager sets the camera follow target. So this is the follow camera to look at, and it parents. Oh, and then it parents the cockpit camera. Camera loses target. So follow is null. Cockpit camera parented to inactive object. So that's what it's doing. It's just reparenting the cockpit camera to an inactive object. I should. This is where I should switch to a kill camera and have it point at the explosion. That would be something to play with. So then after a 3-second delay, the players respawned and it sets the camera's followed target to be the player's transform. So that's interesting how that works. Let's see what else did Bezzy tell us. The camera states during player destruction and respawning. It looks like the old diagram. That's definitely the old diagram because I don't see these notes. There must be a syntax error or something. Bug. Oh, there is an error. So it is interesting. It doesn't show me the error here, but it showed it to me on the playground. So cameras orphaned as parent would create a cycle. So Bezzy screwed up on that diagram. Interesting. Let's skip that one. Let's look at the system architecture. Does it give me an error for that one too? Yep. I'm going to paste this error. Let's see. In the Bezzy. Let me just go back and look at what else it did. So that's it. Let's see if we can fix those diagrams. I see there's at least one person watching. Hello there. All right, so here's the corrected. Let's try this sequence diagram here. Where's my browser? Mermaid. Ah, that's better. Oops. Camera loses target, follow equals null, cockpit camera parent to inactive object. This is where I want to switch to a kill camera. Okay, so that's very similar to the first sequence diagram. Let's look at the architecture. That's what I want to see. Nope, did I not copy that? Copy. What's really nice about these mermaid diagrams is if you put them in GitHub or GitLab, it will automatically render right in your browser. So you don't need to copy and paste it into Mermaid Live. So here's my event system, player spawn, player destroyed. Our player manager raises these events. It spawns a player ship. The cockpit camera is currently parented to the player ship. So the camera manager finds the cockpit camera by tag, which is not pretty. It manages the enemy's virtual camera, and it manages this follow virtual camera by setting the camera's follow target. And it sets the cockpit camera to be a child of the player ship. So that's basically the architecture of how all that works. So now, given that architecture, I'm going to put it into agent mode now. Given that architecture, create a new virtual camera called kill camera that will look at the explosion that was spawned at the player ship's position when it was destroyed, and have the camera manager switch to that camera instead of parenting the cockpit camera to null. Let's see what it does with that. You think this will provide a much better visual experience than orphaned cameras? I think I also want to display some kind of a text message when you get destroyed, like you died or something, or so-and-so killed by such and such. All right, it wants me to update the camera manager. It's going to subscribe to events. It added the new kill camera. Is kill cam active? It's subscribing to those events and unsubscribing when we disable. Update is set active camera key press. So I'm guessing I'm saving that somewhere. I'm not sure that's going to be right. On player destroyed, activate kill camera. And on player spawned, deactivate kill camera. So activate kill camera will get the kill camera. It will save the previous camera. Set is kill camera to active. Set the look at target. Interesting. So it's instantiating that. It's going to instantiate it at the explosion position. Oh, so it's not looking at the explosion. It's looking at that new target. And it looks and follows that. And then it sets the active camera to be that camera. And then it's going to destroy that look at target in 5 seconds. So deactivate kill camera. Sets it to false. Gets the camera. Turns off its look at and follow. Sets the active camera to be the previous camera, which is good, I guess. All right, so that's all very interesting. Let's see what else it's giving me. The damage handler. So are we adding a new parameter? Yes, we're adding the destruction position, the death position to our event, to our player destroyed event. Player manager. Man, stop scrolling. Okay. Okay, not much there. So we need to fix the enemy ship controller. It doesn't construct the event, it just receives it, so we should be fine. Something went wrong. Oh no. Let's see. Now, it'd be interesting to see if it came up with a different solution this time. Yeah, it says it already sees the code that was there, so it shouldn't change anything. So while it's thinking about that, I'm going to go up to GitHub. And I'll show you an example of what I was talking about. These markdown files, which can include mermaid diagrams, if you put them in a GitHub repo as a markdown file, they will render right in your browser. And they have really, nice zoom and pan controls and stuff. So you can expand them, you can pan around. So that is all very, very cool. It's a great way to document your projects because you can put it right in your repo with your code as just a README, as a readme.md file. So as an example, let me see, repositories. If I go to my Space War tutorial, this README file documents the whole project. It tells what design patterns I used. It describes the different game mechanics, the gameplay, the controls, all the different components. Gives me my project structure, the architecture diagrams, and indexes it. All of this was generated by Bezy. All of this. Every last line of this was generated by Bezy. I just had to save it to my repo. Okay, I'm going to tell this to keep all. And I don't need that. Okay, I don't see any errors here. Let me just go into Unity. It'll be interesting to see if this works out of the box. First of all, if I look at my camera manager, I don't see a kill camera here. So I wonder, do I need to add that to the hierarchy? Let's go. Something went wrong again. Put it back into ask mode. My guess is it was trying to make the hierarchy changes to create and configure those components, and that's where it choked. Now, I have had Bezy choke. Give me that error if I, navigated away. Like if I was remoting into my machine using ParallSync, or is that it? Parsec, using Parsec. If I would navigate away from my desktop, like if I'm on my laptop remoting in, I would get that error. Like somehow Bezy knew, hey, you're not paying attention or something. And it would give me that error. All right, let's see what it says here. Create the kill camera game object. So it wants me to put that under camera setup, name it kill camera, set the tag to untagged, and then create the virtual camera child. It will be a Cinemachine virtual camera. And then I want to configure it thusly. And then I want to add a body component transposer on the kill camera. And select transposer, configure it thusly. Add an aim component composer. Set the initial state to be active. All right, and then configure camera manager. All right. All right, so let me go ahead and go through those steps. So under camera manager, or no, under camera setup, right click and create empty kill virtual camera. All right. And then I want to add a Cinemachine virtual camera. Okay. So priority 10, look at none. Field of view should be 60 to 70. Let me try 60. 0.3. Fire clip plane 1000. So I want transposer. And in the body section, just do that. Let's see, follow offset, tracked object offset. I'm going to leave that like that. I don't know what the tracked object offset is. I don't see that setting. Let's see, dead zone width. All this should be fine, actually. I don't see dead zone, soft zone. Wait a minute. So that's transposer. Okay, 111. I was looking at the wrong thing. Binding mode. World space. All right. Zero, 5, -15. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay, so now I want to add an aim of composer 000. So dead zone width 0.1, 0.1. Safe zone width 0.8, 0.8. These look good. All right. So now I go to the camera manager, add one here, and then we will drag in the kill virtual camera. And that should be all I need to do. And if that works, when the player ship is destroyed, I should switch to the kill camera. kill camera is not enabled, and it's not following or looking at anything. There's no errors here. So that quite clearly did not work. And it looks like the active camera is maybe this one. Or not. It's hard to tell. I guess I could go look at the main camera. Who knows? All right, but regardless, kill camera is not active. Don't see the explosion. It's probably this one. Don't know. But it's not working. So let me go look. Let me just tell Bezzy. The kill camera was not activated when the player ship was destroyed. $12.38. It thinks it's working. Let me test it again. I'm going to tell it to add logging. I should have put it in agent mode. Okay. 3 files. All right. Let's give it one more test. Oh, did that work? I think that may have worked. But it doesn't look like it set me back to the player. Oh, now I'm back. So it looks like something didn't work the very first time. Okay. So I'm going to tell Bezzy to examine the logs. And after this, I'm going to have to wrap it up. My lunch break is coming to an end. Okay. Ah, okay. Nah, I can do that. Huh. That's exactly what it's telling me to do. Follow virtual camera, enemy virtual camera, kill virtual camera. Now, one thing I'm going to do here, create empty parent, and we're going to call that kill camera. But if I go back to that, I'm going to see if I can take a picture of this. My guess is that it has to do with the camera manager saving the current camera when it changes to the kill camera, and it's not the cockpit camera at that time. That's what I suspect is going on. The camera manager should probably get the local player's cockpit camera from the player manager, I would think. But that's another reason to move the cockpit camera out from the player ship prefab. It doesn't really need to be there. I love the way it's like, wait a minute, I was wrong. Let me keep looking. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. So this is what we'll work on tomorrow. I'm going to have it refactor this to move that cockpit camera. Oh, did it already make that change? I haven't rerun it yet. Of course, the logs haven't changed. This is what I want to do, but I don't think I want it to be a child of the player. All right, one more test, and then I'm going to end this stream and go back to work. Well, that looked right. All right, that looks like that's actually all working now. So commit those changes. Yes. All right. Go ahead and push those. All righty. Well, anybody that's stuck around and watched this or watches it later, thanks so much for watching. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions or comments, you can join my Discord server. I'll put a link in the description. Or you could drop a comment on this video if it's just a simple comment or question. I don't like to give detailed answers to coding questions here on YouTube. I'd prefer to do that on Discord. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and good luck on your game development journey.